I feel keeping a promise to yourself is a direct reflection of the love you have for yourself. I used to make promises to myself and find them easy to break. Today, I love myself enough to not only make a promise to myself, but I love myself enough to keep that promise. Our truthfulness to ourselves. I can be my worst enemy. If I am not careful, if I fail to pay attention, if stress bests relaxation, I can be my worst enemy. Now, I wake with good intentions. That is common, I think, waking up with hopes for a good day. Here at this church, we have followed a Soul Matters program for this past year. These Soul Matters are concerns that affect us all. Promise is the matter we consider today, and your message is on our truthfulness to the promises we make to ourselves. As Unitarian Universalists, we live with hopes that may be considered overly optimistic by some. But Unitarian Universalists have long seen our lives as a tapestry affected by the way we sew its segments together. Do not go where the path may lead, go instead where there is no path and leave a trail, said Ralph Waldo Emerson. Given that we are molders and shapers of our lives, whether one is thinking of a tapestry or a trail, it is doubly important that we remain truthful to our hopes, our dreams, our intentions. Speaking of intentions, I usually form an internal promise about each day. Do this first, then that, and so it will go. But sometimes, partway through the day, something unexpected happens. Let me share an example. I expected to work on this message after the Center for Ethical Living and Social Justice Renewal's partner lunch that happened last Friday afternoon, 2 days ago. Knowing that I was into my writing time, I left the event while the music was still playing, and that does not happen often. I departed because I made myself a promise, but that promise unraveled quickly. After I drove 3 or 4 blocks toward home, I realized I had not picked up the card tables, and I was supposed to pick them up. The center had asked to borrow them, and I was making the delivery and pickup, and I could have turned around, but my computer was calling. I can get them later, I thought, not knowing exactly when that would happen, but trusting it would. 15 minutes later, after I had unearthed 2 or 3 good quotes, my telephone rang, and Shirley said, "Hey Jim, the card tables are still here. Aren't you going to pick them up, take them back to the church?" "Yes, I know," I said. "I thought about that on the way home. I'll pick them up a bit later, okay? But the bridge players need them tonight." Suddenly, the wheels of my head were starting to spin. I should not let my writing cause a problem for the bridge players. I used to play bridge. It is played on a card table, not one of the big long tables. So I told Shirley I would return immediately for the tables, and as I picked up my car keys, I thought, I can write later. At least I have a start. At least I have a start. I returned to First Church, loaded the tables in my car, brought them out here, and my thought then was, I'm free for writing now. But as I was driving back home, once again, my telephone rang. Shirley was again on the other end. She said, I have a flat tire.
Aww.
Its side is slashed and it won't hold any air. Where are you? I asked. The Chevron station on Carrollton Avenue. Okay, I'm at Pontchartrain and Veterans. I'll be there in 10 minutes. And that's when I knew my afternoon was not going to go the way that I had hoped it would. I suspect all of us have things that do not work out as planned. There are many ways we might respond to this. Some folks stamp, snort, sputter, or cuss when things do not go their way. I think of a football coach who protests a call that goes the wrong way. Have you ever seen someone get so angry they lose it? I once saw a frustrated carpenter throw his hammer through a newly sheetrock wall. It's made for more work, but evidently relieves some pressure. The most glorious moments in your life are not the so-called days of success, but rather those days when out of dejection and despair you feel rise in you a challenge to life and the promise of future accomplishments, said novelist Gustave Flaubert. These glorious moments of which Flaubert speaks can only arise if we are like the fire, if we allow a little space in there, if we are able to manage and overcome our difficulties and give these glorious moments a chance to take off. Here in this religious community, this is our intention, to open the doorway through the study of many aspects of our life, a life lived, moving to a life lived in greater concordance with the way we really and truly want to live. Gary Zukav said, a spiritual partnership is between people who promise themselves to use all of their experience to grow spiritually. They use their emotions to show them how to create constructive and healthy and joyful consequences instead of destructive and unhealthy and painful consequences. Several times, Jesus reminded his disciples that the kingdom of God is within you. Now, there are some religionists who have their own sense of what this means, and I believe they misconstrue what Jesus meant. What Jesus is saying is that we have within us a kingdom of connection to God's love. This essence of divinity, better known to us as love, is alive in every person. So say we as universalists, but we are not alone in this. Many agree God's love is within us. This is the kingdom. The spirit of divinity within us waits, we are told, for us to let go of the alluring trappings of life. Waits for us to see the temporary life-bound enticement of cars and boats, jewels and fancy clothes, and all the other things that seem to consume so many. And this divine spirit holds out its hope that we will all, each one of us, return to the spirit of love. Love always creates, it never destroys. In this lies humanity's only promise, said Leo Gusalio, an author, speaker, and professor who is often referred to as Dr. Hug. Gusalio also said, love is life. And if you miss love, you miss life. When Jesus mentioned the kingdom within us, he was addressing the power of love readily available to all. This is why when I approach you with a theme for this year, live loving, love living, I share a vision of Jesus speaking within me. Jesus saying, believe in me and you shall be saved also means something to me. But once again, I see an error here for those who have come to lend their own interpretation to these words. Believe in me and you shall be saved is not a call to elevate Jesus to divinity, though he lived with a holy inspiration, though he was in touch with the kingdom within himself. This is a call to believe in him, taking what he shares and allowing the meaning of his words to live within our hearts. That's what the call is. Believe in me is saying, believe in what I am saying to you. If that makes me a Christian for you, then it is okay if you call me a Christian. It's okay. But let me deflect back against that just a bit, because many who claim Christianity fail to live and fail to even try to live with the meaning of Jesus' instructions resting in their heart or in their lives. And many who claim Christianity have followed a contorted pattern of thought that has led them to where they are today, to creeds and doctrines and a bunch of hoo-ha that has been pulled together over the ages. And this concerns me deeply. So perhaps it is also okay to say, Reverend Jim Vanderwill is not a Christian. That decision will be made someday. As a friend of mine, a minister in a more conservative tradition, reminds me occasionally. Promises. There are several kinds of promises we can make to ourselves. I shared a story about a somewhat fudgy promise, my hopes for Friday afternoon. But daily schedules can be changed. Usually reluctantly for me. I don't like to do it, but they are fudgeable. There are other internal promises that are considerably more important. These relate to our ethical character, to the inner intention for the broad sweep of our life. Many people face a conflict when they hold an idea about right behavior, but do not allow that idea to live within them. Others may see the evidence of their commitment, but detect a lack of integrity in putting this commitment into motion. And I use the word integrity and turn to the definition of it shared by Don Miguel Ruiz. Integrity requires of us that we not only never tell a lie to anyone else, we also never try to fool or work against the foundational principles we hold in our hearts, souls, and minds. We don't fool ourselves if we are integral. People respond in accordance to how you relate to them, said Nelson Mandela. If you approach them on the basis of violence, and I could add here aggression, subversion, lying, or abuse, that's how they'll react. But if you say, we want peace, we want stability, we can then do a lot of things that will contribute towards the progress of our society. What I like about Mandela's words is that he has taken two inward orientations, two of the things that grow in our soul, peace, stability, and lifted them up as hopes and visions for all. What mother does not want peace? Does not feel it within herself? What father does not long for stability? Does not feel a need for stabilizing forces in life? Mandela allows these inward sentiments to appear in his life, and he uses them to style a life shaped for all. The kingdom within him, can this possibly be, leads him toward justice, equity, and freedom. That's the message shared by the kingdom, speaking through, into, and through Nelson Mandela. We have a wonderful worship team here in this congregation, and one of its members sent me a video yesterday, a TED Talk, from a person who has used time-lapse photography on flowers for over 30 years. As this video shifted, you've seen these pictures, I'm sure, from one slow motion opening of a flower to another, each of them consistently proceeding through their floral extravaganza, I connected those floral pathways to the human pathways through life. They live, we live. Am I correct? Each incident that happens on our way of life is like the sequence of events for every single flower. First a bud is formed. We remember those bud-like years. Then a slow unfolding. Ah yes, junior high, high school, college. Those days. The brightness of maturity. Really? That's what we have here? And an end and a withering and shriveleth before the torch is passed to the next one in line. It would fill me with joy to stand here and say we will live forever. But it fills me with a visceral pain because I know that that is not true. This is why I think we are invited by the spiritual prophets to see the kingdom lying within us, to see the love in our hearts, and the need for us to give it expression in the best ways that we can. And that is why we hear the wisdom of Lao Tzu and his message about peace. I'm going to share with you on this International Day of Peace. I'd like to ask you, if you could, many of us know this. Let's turn to him in the hymn book to number 602, in the back of the hymnal. There is a reminder in these words, an important reminder that has long pulled me back to that which we can do that is most important. Let's read these words responsibly. If there is to be peace in the world,
there must be peace in the nations.
If there is to be peace in the nations,
there must be peace in the cities.
If there is to be peace in the cities,
there must be peace between neighbors.
If there is to be peace between neighbors,
there must be peace in the home.
If there is to be peace in the home,
there must be peace in the heart.
The same is true for respect. The same is true for justice. And the same is true for love. May the love in your hearts find love flowering in the hearts of those around you. Namaste.